Hello and welcome to the most peaceful place where the fruiting plants and animals roam free. Thank you, thank you, thank you to all of them as they make this piece of haven very enjoyable for all. Thank you, thank you, thank you for coming to Peaceful Village. Tierra Libertad in Peaceful Village, Raw Vegan Healing Community. Thank you for joining me, everybody. I'm so blessed to have you here. I'm Michael Lanfield, and today is, I guess you could call it a part two of this series about wild, ferocious animals in the jungle gonna kill you. So, thank you for joining me here. This is really an important topic. So, this is geared towards people, everyone who has the notion that the Amazonian jungle is so dangerous, so terrible, and this can be lengthy, so stay tuned. Yeah. Okay, the jungle, you have it, the jungle all around, amazing. So, there are many things I want to say, and this is pertaining to walking naked or barefoot in the jungle, on the mountains and everywhere. And so the key is our minds. Okay, so let's get into this. Boom. Okay. So, how do we start this topic here? So the question is, okay, you're climbing the mountain without shoes, barefoot, probably naked. All the animals are going to eat you alive, and in the thick jungle you're going to get scraped and beaten and from the leaves and the branches, and there's going to be wasp nests, and there's going to be ants all over the place, and there's going to be prickly plants, and there's going to be animals like snakes that can bite you and kill you, and you're in the middle of nowhere and you don't have anything to protect you. So this is what I want to say about this. There was a show series that I saw years ago, maybe a decade or more ago. And I used to watch frequently about this older guy who basically was living in the not Amazon, it was Australian, and he was going through the thickets of the bushes and everything, and he was doing this barefoot. In fact, if he was doing it off the camera, he probably would be naked, or at least just have a little underwear or something. But this guy inspired me, and often they would take some shots of his feet, bare feet. He was walking barefoot, basically, and well, 2 feet, yeah, but barefoot, bare feet, and yeah, this inspired me, but I never yet did it until I came into the place called Ecuador. So Ecuador taught me a lot. I had this experience somewhat to a degree in Costa Rica, but it wasn't the same. So basically what happened was that here in Ecuador, I started to realize that it was raining frequently. And I started to realize that I didn't like to wear closed shoes. So the closed shoes ultimately were restricting my feet, so I stopped wearing closed shoes for the most part. In fact, the closed shoes that I did have, eventually at some point the toes and everything gave in, and I was wearing it just like that, you know. And I didn't like wearing those because they were just too constricting. So what I eventually did was I bought kind of like what they call cogs, some type of sandal that's made out of a plastic or rubber or foam or something, usually a rubber. And but they mix it with probably with some other chemicals and things. It's not pure rubber probably. And I just basically, it was like covered the toe part of the shoe. I don't know if I should have brought it here, but anyways, covered the. So I just basically cut the front part of the cogs, and I was wearing it like that. But what I realized is that these cogs, some people call them Crocs, but Crocs is a brand name. Anyways, they were not very good quality, and they were giving in, they were breaking and all this kind of thing, and then they started to become bigger, a little bit bigger. So I bought the size that I needed, but then it was like, I don't know, I like when my foot basically is very free in the shoe. But usually I walk barefoot here. I walk barefoot in many places all over. But and naked too. But in the deep jungle, when we're cutting, you know, the when we're cutting the bushes and the trees and all this kind of thing to make a path, for example, we use sometimes we use shoes like clogs or sandals or things like this, and we use clothes. But when it's cleared, for the most part, I mean, I did it naked. For the most part, I did a part of the jungle completely naked, and I walked many places barefoot. And the reason, and I'm going to tell you the reason why I did this, and then how I avoided all these biting insects and biting animals and this kind of things. These animals, they're not things. So what happened was, the reason why I did this is because several parts of the jungle, there may be like water or wet marshes or things like that. We have few parts like that where there's like kind of like a bog or marsh, and so it's hard sometimes to even walk there. And some people say, well, why don't you just wear kind of like rubber boots and stuff like this? And the point is, I don't like the rubber boots. They're very constricting and very tight and very narrow, and the feet feel like so constricted. I cannot handle it. In fact, at some point I'll be completely barefoot. And truly, in town, going to stores, going everywhere, they don't mind people walking even barefoot. I mean, they see, you know, in certain cases, you know, like if you take your shirt off and you walk into a restaurant, no, they're not going to like that, of course. But for the most part, you can walk barefoot into a store. For the most part, and yeah. So, anyways, so yeah, so I'm going to be barefoot at some point completely, but for now, for the most part, I will wear at least clogs or sandals or something with an open toe. Okay. Now the reason why I'm mostly walking without shoes in the deep jungle and the mountains, and by the way, this is not too high. This is just about 400 to 500 meters above sea level, so it's very it's not too high and it's not too low either. So the reason why I do this is because when it's too wet, the feet slip in the sandals, in the clogs, and you cannot walk properly, and it's very hard. In fact, it's more dangerous to be walking with sandals, right, in these kind of places. And even on the land here, where there's little slopes, it's impossible to walk like that. I sometimes wear the clogs just when it's wet, or when I walk into the cabin, for example, or into the camping site. I don't want to get the camping site dirty or the cabin dirty, so then I I usually, when it's wet, I usually wear the sandal. It's a little better. But it's possible in the thickest of the jungle to wear shoes, proper shoes, or even water shoes. Those thin rubber shoes that rubber and synthetic shoes that they have that you can buy for $10 or $15, $20, something like that. So those are pretty good, but I've noticed also that they slip and they come off the feet eventually. So, and things actually go inside like pebbles and grasses and all this kind of stuff. So I don't wear any for the most part. I don't wear anything on my feet. I walk barefoot through the thickets of the jungle. There will be some cases where, of course, always I will take my cogs just in case there is a part of the trail or part of where I'm cutting or part of where I'm walking where there's, let's say, for example, I don't know, like biting ants or, thorns on the ground or something, and I need to pass. Then what I will do is I will just wear temporarily for a few moments until I pass them, sandals, cogs, these sorts of things. Now, this is me. Aurora is a little different. She wears more her sandals and these kind of things. And in fact, I told her several times about why it's so harmful, and the sandals that she has are very narrow, and I explained these things to her. Seems that sometimes people need their own experiences, need their own time in order to heal this kind of thing. But really, when humans started thousands, hundreds of thousands of years ago, basically we started without shoes. We came into this world without shoes, without any sort of footwear. And it should be feetwear, but anyways, another story. Feetwear. And we started putting shoes on, like, I don't know, because we were walking. It's exception also if you're walking somewhere where the sun is blazing and it's too hot to walk on the ground, for example. Then you have to temporarily wear something, otherwise it's going to be very, very hot, especially, for example, if you're in the river and the heat, the sun is burning down on the rocks, on the boulders. In order to step from rock to rock, to boulder, sometimes you would need some kind of sandals or some kind of shoes or something in order to do that. So these are probably only exceptions. If there's something prickly on the ground or some biting ants or something like that, this is probably the only exceptions to the rule. But otherwise, I would wear, and after a while we get used to it, walking barefoot everywhere. The other place that I often wear shoes is on gravel road, these kinds of things, pebble roads, places where they have gravel, like gravel stairs and things like this, because my feet are just not ready. I often walk barefoot, I sometimes walk barefoot, but often wearing clogs. So I'm gradually transitioning away from wearing anything, basically. Just taking them just in case I need them for whatever reason. So that is the reason why I wear them. Now, what about like, because I get questions often that, are there very many biting insects? Do you need to wear long pants? Do you need to wear shoes or sandals or things like this? Like when you go to the mountain, I recommend people do as you feel comfortable. If you want to wear long pants, if you want to completely be covered, that's fine. But here, often even in the jungle, I will go without shirt, right? So in the thickets of the jungle where I have to chop like completely like so thick, so dense, such a dense forest, basically I have to go in with a shirt and shorts. Basically, that's what I'll do. For the most part, the ratio, or I should say, the um, amount of biting insects that are here is very, very minimal. At times it could be a little more, but it's relatively not that bad. Just certain times of the year. For example, when they redo the roads, the gravel road here, then it can get a little bad. If if the neighbors around are clearing a little bit, then it can get a little bit more. If we are clearing a little area of weeds or of small trees or something, it can get a little. If there's a little forest somewhere, um, yeah, it can get a little bit. But in the communal areas, it's basically almost no gnats, no mosquitoes. So it's very, very good. There are times, for example, I don't know why in certain areas, especially when I'm filming, there's always like animals coming and enjoying me. So that's just how it is. Sometimes there's ants, sometimes there's gnats, mostly gnats, but there's some mosquitoes too. So this is the thing. But in the jungle, what I've noticed basically is here there's not a lot of biting animals, not a lot of ferocious animals. Now we have a hunch that from print paws or paw prints in the sand, we have a hunch that there is jaguars, and there are actually jaguars. People have said there's jaguars in the area, and I heard that kind of noise, and that means that they make this kind of noise when they're hungry. So our neighbor has said that there's jaguars coming to eat his chickens. Yeah. So that's something that, first of all, we should be having chickens. We shouldn't be domesticating any non-human animals, but that's a different story. But in any case, all the animals on this earth are very harmless. Unless they're extremely hungry, they may eat you, okay, or attack you or something if they're extremely hungry. And this could probably two animals in the world could do this. So for example, crocodiles maybe, or alligators. And the other one could be probably a male polar bear. We don't have crocodiles here or alligators. And there's no polar bears, as you know, in the Amazon. So we don't have to worry. Now people say, well, what about snake bites? What about scorpion bites? What about tarantula bites? All these kind of things. Yes, we do have other animals here, like snakes. We have the ekis, what they call ekis here, which I don't remember the name of the snake, but they're one of the most deadliest, or poisonous, I should say poisonous snakes here. And people are very afraid of them. We've seen them, we've interacted with them, we've seen boa constrictors, we've seen coral snakes, we've seen other types of snakes. We saw some green fluorescent snake. We don't know who that is, what type of animal that is. But in any case, we saw these animals, and we even worked and walked centimeters from them. Centimeters. In fact, even millimeters from where they were. And they were very peaceful. Now, let me explain something. I've been bitten on several occasions by animals like scorpions, animals like bullet ant, or as they call here, conga ant. No problems whatsoever. No problems whatsoever. I've been bitten by certain other types of of spiders, no problem. The worst case that I had was at one point a scorpion, I think a baby scorpion. I didn't really see, but then I saw in the same area a small scorpion, so it could have been that one, or yeah, that animal. And that animal gave me, basically, I was paralyzed for about 2 or so days. Exactly for about 2 days, I was paralyzed. I was just in bed for 2 days. Nothing really happened. It was just pain and some inflammation, and that was it. So that was it. After the third day, I was much better. So after the third day, so basically 3 days complete recovery, and that was good because some people have weeks to recover, and they go to hospital. And some people say that when the bullet ant bites you, or you step. First of all, let me explain that no animal in nature that is non-domesticated will bite anyone intentionally. You got that? No animal, natural animal in nature, will bite anyone intentionally. Okay? So no matter where you go, no one will bite you intentionally unless they're so hungry and they haven't eaten for weeks and months and whatever, But that's the rare exception. So what usually happens is when you're walking, sometimes barefoot or not. In fact, the scorpion that bit me, that I was in bed for 3 days, I had actually my shoes on. Imagine, I had my clogs on, and somehow the clog, I don't know, it like kind of slipped or something, and the scorpion went underneath, so kind of on top of the cog, kind of in between the cog and my foot. And so I got bitten wearing clogs. So imagine, So what really happens is when we're walking anywhere, okay, we are more mindful when we're walking, when we don't wear any kind of footwear. So the footwear is the distraction because we're not connected to the earth. We're not getting the telluric energy from the ground and all the amazing, I guess, workings or all amazing elements from the ground to the body. So we're not grounded, first of all, okay? And secondly, when we walk, we're more careful. We walk with every step. We walk slower. These kind of things. And also our feet become stronger. Our feet become more tough. All this kind of stuff. Yeah. And then we start to also to be more mindful about our surroundings when we're in nature. So we're not in fear at all. We have zero fear or close to zero fear. I'm trying to get good. Okay. We're close to zero fear. Okay. So ultimately what happens is that when we have zero fear, when we understand that nobody's here to attack us, maybe humans, but nobody is here to intentionally attack us, and we are living in harmony with nature and with all the other animals, and we don't harm, and they know our intention. And non-human animals are very smart. They know the intention that we have towards them. Not all of them, because there are some that every being on earth is at a different level of consciousness, a different level of understanding, and many of them cannot intuit, or many of them cannot, they don't have the ability to use their intuition and all this kind of stuff. Plants and animals, all these other beings, yeah. And so there's some that are still afraid of humans. I'm trying to get a good light. So there's some that are still afraid of humans, while there are many that come to us, like grasshoppers and butterflies, even snakes. We had tarantulas in our cabin. We interacted with tarantulas. We interacted with the Brazilian wandering spider, which is supposedly the most poisonous spider in the world. they were centimeters away from us without even harming us, because they don't have the intention to harm us. This is not a place where the animals are going to attack, and we have to be so afraid. I mean, we have to be afraid more of the towns and cities, because more people can harm us more than non-human animals. Animals don't want to attack us unless they're traumatized, unless they're so hungry, like desperately hungry, or they know they just want to protect themselves. They know the attention that we have is bad, and they want to protect themselves. So really, non-human animals have absolutely no intention to harm us. But the key, or the question is, what happens if you're walking and you step on a bunch of biting ants, or you step on a scorpion, or you step on in the middle of nowhere and you're bitten by a scorpion, or you're bitten by a snake? First of all, I don't have all the answers. We're learning. We're just here in the jungle for some years, so we're learning how to deal with all these issues and all these questions. So I just trust the universe is protecting us, doing the most good that we can in the world. I'm trying to get a good light away from the sun. So ultimately, I'm just doing the best that I can, doing the most good that I can, the least harm that I can. And I notice that that same thing comes back to me. The least amount of harm comes back to me. The more good comes back to me. The more good we do, the more good we get back. The least harm we cause, the least harm we get back, you know. And I've had experience with the most poisonous, the most deadliest animals without any problems. They've been millimeters away from me, centimeters and millimeters away from me. I've been stung or bitten by the bullet ant, the conga ant, without any problem whatsoever. I basically have a little numbing for some little period of time, a few hours, and that's it. In fact, it's supposed to be 24 hours, and in less than 6 hours it's gone, because of the way I live in nature holistically, this kind of things. I'm not living perfectly, because there are so many things that I can improve, and I can do, and we still have radiation, and there's a lot of things. But in any case, the point is that I've been literally centimeters and millimeters away from animals that supposedly are the most deadliest, most poisonous and deadliest in the world. Brazilian wandering spider sitting right next to me while I'm eating, and nothing. Right in my cabin, right next to my leg, nothing. Imagine, these animals are harmless, absolutely harmless. The boa constrictor, absolutely harmless. No animal wants to harm you. Truly, no animal wants to harm you. So this is a myth, this is a propaganda that the media, that the governments, that society puts on people. It's a fallacy. It's fake stuff. All these documentaries where you see all the poisonous animals and the animals fighting each other and all this kind of thing, and dog eat dog and all, it doesn't happen as people think it happens. We've been living in the jungle, the thickets of the jungle for many years, and these things don't happen. If you get stung, okay, first of all, if somebody gets bitten and they're very, very toxic, they're very sick, they have a lot of problems, they don't eat well, they have heart disease, they got diabetes, of course, if their immune system is not strong, they don't have a strong immune system, of course, being bitten by a snake and being bitten by a conga ant and being bitten by scorpion is going to be more horrible, and probably they could die, you know. But the whole key is to strengthen the immune system. To strengthen the immune system. To stop being in fear. These are the keys. To live holistically. Now we're coming up with a book called The Way We Heal. This is taking longer than expected, but I have another book that is going to be out this year, hopefully this year, We're getting some amazing people to collaborate on this book. It's incredible. The New Mother Earth. The New Mother Earth talks about, and I just want to say a short overview of the book. The New Mother Earth talks about when we go closer to the Spirit, to the Source, whatever you want to call that, God, universe, Spirit, higher consciousness, if we go close, getting closer to the Spirit, ultimately doing the most good, causing the least harm, we start to see that the same things happen in our lives. And if something bad, a bad karma should happen, and by the way, karma means action. It means action, okay? So when we do, or we have some bad karma that we have to face, this is only for several reasons. Because we had in the past a karma that we need to deal with, so we have a karmic debt. It could also be that we need to learn a lesson of some sort, and sometimes we will start to see that we have to repeat these challenges or these conflicts or whatever it is in our lives because we're not learning from them. We're not learning. We're not healing those things. So when we get closer to the Spirit, we start to see that we're more protected. Of course, we are not completely void of conflicts and challenges. We still have them. I still have them in my life. I'm not a millionaire and I don't have all the things that I need and I want, and the world is not vegan, the whole world population is not vegan and this kind of thing. So it's a process, you know. It's a journey, it's a process. It's getting there. But in any case, the more good that we do, the least harm that we do is the key. When we get rid of fear, the opposite of fear is love, not hate. Sorry. The opposite of love is not hate, it's fear. So if we fear the animals, they will fear us. They will know. In fact, spiritual minded people, shamans, yogis, and so forth, understand that in serious spiritual situations, meditations, out-of-body experiences, regressions, and so forth, and being in certain areas where there's spirits or other souls or whatever, we need to be very, very calm. Same thing people say, the professional divers say when they go close to swimming with sharks, for example, they need to be very calm. Sharks absolutely did not intentionally harm anyone in the world. There has been no case of a shark actually intentionally harming someone. Might have been by mistake because they thought of the dangling feet in the water and the legs, thinking that, oh, that is a non-human animal, fish or someone, so I can eat that. But once they know that that being is a human, they leave right away. So the human dies from blood loss, you see. So when we are, let's say we're a diver and we are going close to a shark, we will start to realize that if our heart's like and we're scared, the animal is not going to be there. The animal is going to swim away because the animal is scared, knows that you are agitated or that you are in fear, and will go the other way. In fact, your heart rate has to be something like less than 80 or 85 beats a minute in order for the shark to be there. Otherwise, we'll scare them. So it's all about fear. And so when we're in fear, the other animals are in fear. They flee from us or they stand in attack mode or something like that. They know if we're in fear, or they know if we have a machete and we're going to chop them, or if we have a watering can or camera. They know the difference. They are not stupid. Okay? They know the difference. For example, there have been cases where people had guns or knives and people had cameras, and the cows and the other domesticated animals knew the difference, and they were scared when the human had knife or gun. But when the human had a camera, they had no fear whatsoever. So imagine, non-human animals are lovely beings. We should enjoy their beauty and their uniqueness, and just learn from the wonders of this earth, this beauty of this earth. Look at how much beauty is here. And we ultimately put that in the face, and we say, hey, it's so dangerous out there, so let's go to the cities. In fact, that's what the government wants. People, listen up, I'm going to come closer. That's what the governments want. The governments and corporations, they want us to be in towns and cities, feared for our lives and trusting in them. We should be fearing for our lives from them. In fact, we shouldn't be in fear at all. But the whole point is that probably it's more fearful to be in towns and cities where somebody can kill you, especially in a bigger city where there's more potentiality for somebody to be killed. So the jungle, nobody kills you. Nobody has the intention to kill you. Probably not even crocodiles. And in fact, not even the polar bear. If you go to the north, probably not even the polar bear. Probably the polar bear, just because he or she is hungry, will eat you. But otherwise, first of all, we shouldn't be in that kind of climate anyways. And secondly, what are we doing there by ourselves in the middle of nowhere in the freezing cold, where we have to wear 6, 7, 8 jackets? So it's not a place to be. We should be in the tropics, subtropical areas of the world. Forget about that kind of stuff. Go in the rural areas. Live in the jungle, live in nature, live in the mountains, this kind of thing, in warm climates. That's what it's all about. Walking barefoot, I'm not afraid. I'm in love. I have no fear. And I'm just walking everywhere. And that's it, basically, walking everywhere. If there happens to be some biting ants or someone, I just run to the other side, get away from them, or walk around them or something to not disturb them, and this kind of things, if I get stung by bees or whatever, or whoever, I just do the best that I can. So it's about experience, learning, doing the best that we can, getting closer to the spirit. Don't be afraid of this jungle place. This is an amazing jungle place. This is incredible. I love walking barefoot. Sometimes, yes, there are prickly bushes and stumps that I often walk on, and I hurt myself. But I just go on in life, and that's it. I don't want to be protected, because I know I am protected. I don't want to have to wear boots. I don't want to have to protect myself. If I'm so paranoid, I should wear one of those astronaut suits and go through the jungle that way, or stay in the city in a high-rise apartment and close all my windows, put the curtains and everything, and have a gun in every room if I'm so paranoid. What a craziness. So stop being paranoid about things. Get out of that fear mentality and live your life with love. That's what it's all about, people. I love you very much. So thank you for joining me. Please share this video if you found it useful, and tell people to watch it. Like this video. Subscribe to the channel, Peaceful Village Raw Vegan Healing Community. Subscribe. Go to our website. Please come visit us as a guest, volunteer. as a future community member. We're looking for many more people to join us. We're looking for people to not be scared, to take a risk in life and to join us. Yeah. So thank you for joining me, everybody, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care. Bye-bye, everybody. Thank you, thank you, thank you for coming to Peaceful Village.